too, so alright. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you a little bit what happened. All this flat area, all through here where was all sort of the main hub. This was like the city centre, alright? And that's all our other group, all up on top of the mountain, so that's where we're going to be shortly. And it's actually quite a long way. It's quite deceiving actually how high that is, alright? Because from here it doesn't really look that high. But when you get up there and you look down to here where we are now, you kind of realise, oh, it's quite a long way away. So, but it's lovely when you get up there because you just look, you can see we're just surrounded 360 degrees by mountains, and it's just absolutely beautiful up there. Okay, now I'm just going to show you a photograph of, this is what it looked like down here, alright, where we are now. Okay.
It was during the filming?
Yes, it certainly was. There's the Golden Hall sitting up on the top there, on top of the mountain, and then you can see where it dips down, sort of where everyone's standing up there, alright? They're standing sort of right about there, and then it dips down, and that's where they built the city of Edoras, okay? And then they built part of the fence. So this is a real live, illegally taken photo at the time, alright? Alright? And that somebody took. And then you can see what all this just here all looked like, okay? And it was all RVs, and a lot of the main actors had their own RVs, okay? Alright, or motorhomes, or whatever you'd like to call it. And you know the chairs that were up at the wool shed there with the names on the back of them? Well, one of the locals made those, okay, for people, so they could have them outside their motorhomes. So they had somewhere to sit, alright? And somebody just made them and brought them up for them. Alright, so it was a really nice nice thing to do. And we got some of them, not all of them, but we got some of them up at the wool shed there. So the most sat in chair, anyone can guess?
Legolas.
Well done. It was Legolas's chair. Alright. Now they also built 2 roads going in. We're going to go over part of one of them shortly, which is just up there. And then they built another one going across to the bottom of these rocks just here. Okay? You can see the road going through here. And the New Zealand Army was brought in, alright, to build the roads, okay, going through. And up around the back of the mountain, there's no way that you could drive a vehicle up to the top of the mountain now, alright? And you couldn't then, they had to build a big retaining wall around the back of the mountain for a road to be able to get vehicles right up to the top, okay? So it was a pretty amazing effort that they did to build all this. For remember, 8 days of filming, alright, and that was it. And that's all they did, okay? Now also at the bottom here, these rocks that you see at the bottom, they did King Theoden's son's funeral there. The funeral scene, that's where that was held, okay?
Where?
Right at the bottom of the rocks, right there. Those rocks there, right at the bottom, okay? Now I'm just going to, someone's used my book and we're a little bit out of order here. There we are, there's the funeral scene going up to the gates of the fence that were up there. Now do you remember in there there's a line that says no parent should have to bury their own. Okay, do you remember that? In there? Okay, now that came from Bernard Hill, and Peter Jackson was always very, very good at listening to everybody. He was a very, very onto it man because he always listened what people had to say, alright? And Bernard Hill came up to him and they were sort of getting all ready for the scene up there, and he said, it's just come to me. He said, a few years ago I went to a friend of mine's son's funeral in the UK, and he said, and he stood up and he said, no parent should have to live to bury their own. Which is so true, isn't it? Okay, and Peter Jackson said, we're going to put that in, alright? So it wasn't in the script, and he was very good at doing that, okay? Now, I just want to show you, those were the gates for the fence that ran along that first rise up there. Now that's all brand new timber. Now the art department just did the most incredible job, okay? They did a fantastic job. I know in the movies it's very hard to tell what's not real and what's real, okay? But the art department put so much effort in. That there is all brand new timber, alright? And it looks like it's been there for...
From which wood?
200 years.
200 years?
Well, it looks like it.
From this area?
No, it's all brand new timber.
It looks like it's 200 years old.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Oh, looks like.
Now what they did is they got in there and they chopped it all off, and they got in there with chisels and dug bits out, and then they sprayed it with naturally unsweetened yogurt. Right? It's got to be naturally unsweetened yogurt, and they sprayed it, and it all started to grow. All right. After about 5 days, it starts to grow. All right. And I had a lady from the UK. She said, "Oh, should I spray all my terracotta pots?"
That's right.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. So, but you know, if I ever ask anyone, how do you think they got it to look like that? No one ever. I've had 2 people in 2.5 years say naturally unsweetened yogurt, so I've kind of given up asking now. So I just tell you. And and the second one was an art student from I think he was from the UK actually, and he said about it too. Now also in behind the fence they built some of the set, okay, and this is some of the set that was built right in behind that village, and that once again looks like it's been there forever. You can see all these gravel lines that come down off the mountains everywhere, and this is all gravel that they put on the ground here. And what they did is they laid out big sheets of plastic, and they put the gravel and tussock grasses and things, rocks and things on top of it, and then it was very easy to clean up. Okay, so it was amazing. So they used a lot of the local things around here. Now, as I said to you earlier, they had to return everything back to its natural state. All right. Now this even went right down to the tussock grasses. You'll see all over on the mountain there's tussock grasses everywhere. There's not so many just around us here, but there's some smaller ones. These these things here, these are tussock grasses. But of course they get quite big. All right. And the tussock grasses were all removed from where any of those buildings were up the top there. They were all removed, and they were put into pots, and they were brought down, and they were GPS, they were numbered, they were brought down and kept in a nursery down here, and then at the end of it they were all planted in exactly the same place again.
Really?
Alright? Which sounds ridiculous, but everything out here is so slow growing. And when we get up to the top there, we'll look down and you can see where the roads went, and it's because they never put the tussock grasses back. Okay? And it'll be 10 years this September since they filmed out here. Alright, this year in September will be 10 years. Amazing, isn't it? Where's the time gone? Okay, so that's what it looked like. Okay, now in the movie there was something all built in here, wasn't there? All in this area here. Alright, now this is a live photograph. You'll see the fence finishes there and just up here. Alright, but in the movie there was something here. Okay, so have a look at that, and then have a look at that. That is the CGI'd version, alright, the computer generated version. Alright, so all of this in here was all put in by computer. And you would never know, would you? You would never know. Plus all the extra fencing was all put in by computer as well. So it was an amazing effort. They really could have, when you think about it, they could have done the whole thing by computer, but they didn't. Alright? And so that is the amount of effort that went in to making these 3 movies. Okay. Now, what else am I going to show you here? It's probably just about it, I think. I think we've probably run through it all. What I'm going to do on the way back is I'll pass this around, because there's a lot of photographs in here, and I'll pass it around. You can all just take your time having a look through them on the way back to Christchurch, because there's a lot like that too. Alright, that just show you the detail that went into the inside of that, or to the outside of that golden hall. Okay. Now when you get up there, when we go up to the top, you can see on this side, you can see where everyone's standing up there. On this side it's a sheer drop, okay, so just be very, very careful. Don't go too close to the edge on this side, because it's a long way down. You could do without the paperwork. Right? Okay, but you can also see, and I'll tell you a bit more about it when we get up to the top, but they built this big rock wall around the outside, because up there they didn't do any earthworks whatsoever. Alright, they had to build over and around everything, because that rock there is called Greywacke rock. It's a very hard rock, and of course this valley here is all glacial. Okay, and so, and you can see just up there, there's a valley up there, and you can see a whole lot of white up there, which is ice. Alright, and that's the very last of the 2 big glaciers that came through here in the Ice Age. The rest of them have all melted, and that's called the Garden of Eden Glacier, that one up there. I don't know why it's called the Garden of Eden Glacier, but it is. And that's the very last of it. Alright? There used to be a very big glacier up in there too once upon a time. They've all melted over the years. Okay? Alright guys, so we'll take some photos and then what we'll do is we'll jump back in the truck and we will head on up the mountain. Okay?
So we walk there.
We're going to go up to where they are up the top there.